gentlemen, welcome to SNB Talking Sport. I'm your host, Spinksy, and as you can see, there's only two of us again here this week. The male model from Mawson was unable to join us. He's got a modelling thing going on, but we'll touch on that later in the show. Ness, thank you for being here. It's nice to have you back.
Thank you. I did miss you guys last week, but you held up well. I expected not to have a spot left, actually, after last week.
How was your trip home?
Yeah, really good. Really nice to get home, and we had a bit of a rough Christmas. So the COVID Christmas was a bit terrible. So it was nice to get back and see the fam, and I think I brought back the sunshine because it was cracking back home. It's been a really nice.
Yeah, it's been very nice here all weekend. You and I caught up yesterday for some local sport down in Woden. We watched Zoe go around for the ACT Meteors against WA. They had a huge win, actually, for their last game of the season, and it was a fantastic day out.
It was a cracker. Really good to see the Mets get a win to finish off the season and farewell one of their legends, Erin Osborne. So, yes, she's played for Australia and has been a star for the Mets. So, it was a full sun, drinking a few beverages.
Great.
Nice.
Yep. Very nice. I shouldn't have worn a dark shirt, so that was my fault. But the kids are there. They had a great time. And we also, my daughter played her first game of netball on Saturday morning. And so I think, are you there? Yeah, there you go. I thought I lost you. Yes, my daughter had her first game of netball on Saturday morning. They won 4-0 over. She plays for the South Gungahlin Swifts. They beat some other team. I'm not really sure who they were. There was a lot of tears on the court for some of these kids who had their first game ever. A lot of hugs from the parents on the sidelines and on the court too. My daughter, she played a bit up front. She played a bit in the back and in the centres too. So look, I don't think they keep score at that age, but I did. So there'll be weekly updates here going, and they had a 4-0 win. How did you guys go on the weekend, Ness?
Oh, well, firstly, I'm really proud of her, and she's going to be a star. Like, I'm tipping her to be in the Diamonds, so I'll help her get there. Never worked for me, so may as well.
Someone else.
We had Docker, actually. We played a really good team. In fact, we played my normal Thursday night social team with 6, but we had 1 injured. So not great, not a great start. Super hot. I'm super unfit, and we can only get better. But I shot okay. Well,
you can't, yeah. I heard. As you can see, I'm in a bit of a different scenario. Moved out of my place, so I'll be in this scenario for a couple of weeks before I move in somewhere else. So let's get started with some sport now. I want to talk about Aussie golfer Cam Smith. He won the Players Championship and a $5 million purse over the weekend. It's known as the fifth major. Yeah, the fifth major, and it is a massive tournament, and all the who's who were there. It was a strange day on the golf course. The wind howled for the first half of the day, and some guys were shooting like 10 or 12 over, and he managed to come out in the second half with the sun was out and there was no wind at all, and he won by 1 stroke, 13 under for the tournament. And he got an invite to a tournament this weekend. He said no, he wanted to spend time with his mum and his girlfriend who had turned up over there. So it's been coming for a long time for Cam Smith. A few famous Cam Smiths out of this country, but it's been very nice to see him sort of do so well lately. So very happy for him.
What was the prize money for that?
$5 million. Australian. 5 million. Yeah, it's huge.
So I had someone at work saying, how good is it that the footy player Cam Smith has turned into a golfer? And I was like, I don't think
that's not the same thing. Now, Ness, you hopped up very early this morning and watched the F1 kickoff in Bahrain. I had a look at it myself. I've seen who won the race, and I don't know who this dude is. So can you fill us in on who he is and where he's come from?
I actually didn't get as early as I should have because it started at 2 a.m. and I just am getting too old for that kind of business. But Charles Leclerc won, so he's actually a resident of Monaco, so he's obviously pretty wealthy. before the F1 career. But yeah, driver for Ferrari, and Ferrari qualified in P1 and P3, and then today finished 1 and 2. So Carlos Sainz and Leclerc finished in 1 and 2. So I was a pretty happy fan today. Not so great for Daniel Ricciardo, who finished in 14th. And Hamilton, as I mentioned to you earlier, did a bit of Stephen Bradbury. He was just in the right place at the right time. Didn't really look like he was going to podium at all, but he was there when it counted. Verstappen didn't finish. Perez didn't finish. So it was an interesting race, and it all kind of happened in the last few laps, as there's a bit of a thing going on with the last few laps of races lately. A little bit controversial.
And so they're back on again next week in Abu Dhabi. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Saudi next week.
Maybe Saudi. Yeah.
Yeah. And then a couple of weeks in Melbourne. So, maybe I should do a bit of a shout out, because I will not be there for that podcast. I'll be chasing to see if I can. I don't know. I'll be having a drink with Carlos, maybe.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
Now, did you happen to catch the rugby league over the weekend? There were some sensational games on the weekend. None more so than the return of friend of the show, Latrell Mitchell, returned for South Sydney. Latrell had an absolute shocker and an absolute fantastic game at the same time, and then it turned to shit at the end. The Bunnies were down, I think 14-0 towards the end of the game. They decided they were going to turn it on and score 3 tries, and Latrell missed every one of the kicks. It was 14-12 with seconds left, and he kicked a 45-meter field goal for 2 points, and then put the game into extra time, and they couldn't quite get there. But it was a up and down return for Latrell Mitchell. So there was a couple of big games the weekend, and your Roosters got the win over Manly in the most disgusting 2 teams I've ever seen in a game. How was it? Because I actually didn't watch it because I hate both teams.
No, I was working at the time. I had a Brumbies game on, so I was working, but a sneaky little look every now and then to the score. Look, at this point, I'm just happy with a win, Spinks, because when you lose to the Knights, it's like a little part of me is still dead from that. And we can give that back to Bo. He's not here. But no one likes losing to the Knights. So just no one likes Manly either. So it was always nice to win when you're playing Manly. Latrell being back in true fashion just has to make it all about himself. And Cheese, who obviously is coming to the Roosters next year, paying him out. And yeah, did you see that today? He's been paying him out.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Anytime anyone pays out Latrell, I'm on board with it. So yeah. What can I say?
Look, Bo isn't here, but I'll give him a shout out because his Knights are 2-0, and they are on top of the table to start the season. So all the crap we've been giving him this whole off season, they're actually on top. So take a mental note of that now, folks, because this will be the last time that happens. My Sharkies had a huge win too. Nico Hines kicked the conversion after the siren from the sideline. The Sharkies fans are all up there giving him the spirit fingers, as we have been doing for like 20 years now. And he kicked the goal, and so he'll be a cult hero in the Shire for many years to come. So hopefully there's a few more of those games down the track. So it was very good to see. The AFL, the Swannies had a huge win over GWS, their local rival there. I think it was 112-92 in the end. Caught the end of that game. Buddy Franklin still hasn't kicked 1,000 goals that he's looking for. I believe he's only got the one, so I think he's still 4 or 5 short now. So hopefully he kicks those this weekend. But they're playing the Cats, and we'll probably get absolutely pumped. So we'll do it.
It was actually a good game, and look, the Swans, I guess, sort of ran away with it a little bit at the end. But I only caught probably the last half, and yeah, it was a decent game. Let's hope Buddy gets the 1,000 goals. 1,000 goals,
yeah. Only 6 guys in history. Only 5 in history kicked 1,000 goals. Gary Ablett Senior, Jason Dunstall, the other dude from the Swans, Tony Lockett. That's 3. But Franklin will be 4, and there's someone else too. Oh, damn, that's good.
I absolutely can't.
Very nice.
Well,
yes.
You did very well.
And now we went and watched the girls yesterday, but in the ICC Women's World Cup at the moment, Australia's gone 5 from 5 in their games so far. Sorry, I just got that. I've gone 5 from 5 so far in their matches, including a massive win over India on Saturday night. India set them a target of 277 to win, and the Aussies chased it down with a few overs to spare. And it was the biggest chase in women's one-day history. Can they be stopped, Ness? They seem to be just on fire.
I think their few losses at the start of the tournament probably set them up, to be fair, for the success that we're seeing them with now. So I don't think they can be stopped. I said very early on it's theirs to lose. When they fire, and I think they're coming good at the right time. So I think they'll be holding some silverware in a few moments' time, really. So yeah, good luck to the girls tomorrow. I think they start at 9 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. So take on South Africa.
We don't start the semi-finals yet, do we? And they're still the group stage, or is it? Yeah,
I think they go straight into it, but I could be wrong there. But
whatever it is, they're on tomorrow morning, so be sure to tune in and check it out. And now, just a last sports topic before we get into the good, bad, and ugly is something we touched on earlier. Friend of the show, Nick Kyrgios, has gone off on a rant again. This time, arguing with Ben Stiller. Ness, take us through this one. How did this happen?
I just don't even know. I don't know what this guy's deal is. I didn't actually see the incident. I did just read the article, but he's had a go. I think the crowd sort of gotten into him and giving him a bit of lip service, and he's sort of his response back was, he doesn't tell Ben Stiller how to act, and that's probably a good thing because Kyrgios's acting is horrid. So. Look, I don't know. I know that you and Bo really like him though, so I'm really torn with this. But I just think he's such a talented guy that is not inspirational as a fellow Australian. He needs to not do it.
It's hard because I have those moments when I just want to strangle him and just say, just wake up to yourself, man. You've got all the talent in the world, but you're just an idiot. What are you doing, man? Like, just cut it out.
It's just too much. Yeah. Like. He takes the passion for me and he just takes it to a whole new level of, I don't know, it's a bit idiotic, I think. And, I think a bit more energy spent hitting the tennis ball really, and probably a little bit less drama.
I think there's a need for it in certain sports, but I think tennis is not that sport. Like your UFC and your boxing and stuff like that, absolutely go out there and go nuts. That's part of what you are and what you should be doing for the sport. Whereas I think tennis is more of a gentleman's game, as they say. And so you should be a bit more well-mannered and natured in what you do. And he's a dickhead. So, yeah.
I just think he needs to take up basketball. Like, he's a gun.
You've been saying that for ages. Yeah.
Yeah, he was shooting recently and he didn't miss. Like, there was some footage of him shooting hoops. He's amazing, and his personality would fit in. But you know what the thing is, he wouldn't cope in a team sport where it wasn't.
No, absolutely not. No,
that would be the thing.
Maybe he can join forces with Ben
Simmons.
The two of them will get along just nicely. Rounded that one out nicely. All right, look, it's time for the good, bad, and ugly this week. Now, because Bo isn't here, the two of us are going to do a good each, and then I've got the bad, unless you've got the ugly. So I'll let
you go. You hit your.
Yeah. My good is something we're going to talk about later on too, with what's coming up this weekend. But Friday night at 8 o'clock, you better be on the couch or at the stadium to watch Latrell Mitchell turn up to kick the Roosters in the backside. That is my good this weekend, and I cannot wait to see it. I'm excited. I watched Latrell during the week. I don't like Melbourne at all, and he fluffed around for most of the game, but that was he's getting his eye-in game. This week, he's going to come out there, rip, tear, bust, and the Roosters are going to be 1 and 2 come Saturday morning. That's my good.
You know what? As long as he doesn't break more of our players like he did last time we played, that'll be fine. Like I don't actually mind if we lose, but if he takes people out like he did last time, I'm really not going to be happy.
just before we're on the topic, the dude you've got, Hargraves, Jared Borea Hargraves, is he the biggest animal in the NRL? Like,
he's not. He has to. He's not a small. Doesn't miss gym day.
No, absolutely not. He come off the bench the other day, and I was like, has he gotten a bit bigger? Like, what is going on there?
Yeah. Either that, shrunk the jerseys. Uncle Nick put them in the dryer, maybe. I don't know. But
I was watching them warm ups. Sorry, again for the South game, and they had a trainer helping everyone get their shirt on. I'm like, that's not a sport I can do. It's not fair. Shit.
You know what? I will commend you that you said all get to the stadium. Like, obviously, my rant a few weeks ago worked. So there you go. Get out to the stadium and support the Chooks, because no one likes Pearl or the Rabbits.
Or the Rabbits, yeah. All right, what's your good? What's your good this week?
Oh, my good, and I can't wait for this, but the Suncorp Super Netball returns this weekend. I'm so excited. Obviously, we all know I like the Vixens, but we've made some really good recruitment decisions this year. We've got Kira Austin, who's come across from the Giants, and Liz Watson has returned from her injury. So Diamond's captain is back, firing. Kira Austin back from an ACL injury as well. So that is just, we've got half of the Australian team in our team. It's a bit like the Australian cricket team. It's theirs to lose the World Cup. This is the Vixens' year to lose, I think, because it really is. That said, I don't actually think they'll make the grand final. I think we will use the year to build. No, we'll make the final series, but we won't make the grand final. I am tipping that the Swifts will be there again. And I do think the Fever will be there, which I hate. But I think a dark horse might be the Firebirds. And I think they're going to go under the radar. They've just got a group of really fit, athletic girls who are just really competitive. Gretel Tippett, or Gretel Buetta, is she is just dynamite, and she's in stellar form. So I think they're my dark horse. So that'd be my four: Swifts, Vixens, Fever, and Firebirds. You heard it here first. It's
very nice. I mentioned it on the show a couple of weeks back. I still think it'll be a Swifts and Vixens in the GF in a few months' time. So
we will watch that game together. We may not talk.
Definitely. Oh, we won't talk. There's no way. Yeah.
But it's on.
It's definitely on, yes. Yeah, all right, I've got the bad this week, and my bad is the West Tigers. For an organisation that's been around for so long, they merged two teams together, the Balmain Tigers and Western Suburbs back in the day. They just got no consistency there. They're paying the wrong guys. They've dealt out massive contracts to so many people. They've bought Tim Sheens back over from the UK to try and be a mentor to the club and whatever his role actually is, chief officer of nothing. And they're paying all these people so much money and no one's doing anything good. The guys on the field are overrated and overpaid and aren't doing anything good. And my dad was a Balmain fan back in the day. So I've always had a soft spot for the Tigers. And it's disgusting to watch what's going on there at the moment. I don't have the answers and they're not really my team, so I'm not really fast. It's just sad to see them in such a downfall. They've made the finals in years now. If they have, they would have only scraped in there, but they haven't been relevant in at least 10 years. And to start the season 0-2 and get pumped by the Doggies, I think it was on the weekend, it's just hard to watch. So
I think they made some pretty critical kind of errors in, letting Tedesco go a long time ago. Benji Marshall obviously had a big role at the Tigers at some point. So they kind of let go some critical people who probably could have positioned them a little bit better going forward. They've probably lost that and never really recovered from those decisions. And there's been a lot of media around the fact that the Tigers have let the caliber of those players go. But I haven't actually, I unless they're playing the Roosters, they're at the stadium. I don't actually ever catch the Tigers play, I must say.
Yeah. So hopefully they get back there soon too, because as you said, they've had some good young talent there over the years, but they just haven't kept it. So it's no good. Yeah. Right. You've got the ugly this week. What do you got for us?
I do have an ugly, and it's kind of a little bit because I witnessed a little bit of this on the weekend, but Gil McLaughlin, who is obviously the head of the AFL, came out this week, or it might have been last week, to say that the AFL is actually short 6,000 umpires and officials across the country. And so, and I guess what they're saying is there's a few factors, and I'm sure things like COVID have come into play, like it has for everything else in the sport world. But largely, he referenced that the abuse that people cop is a reason for them not to do it. Now, Spinks will tell you that, you know, he'll just go out and say that we don't need officials and they're no good anyway. Actually, that you know what, you've been saying that they're pretty good lately, so I'll take it all back. But I did witness a bit of this, and I have witnessed a lot of it growing up, I suppose. You know, I've often spoken on this show about local soccer and how you couldn't pay me enough to be a ref in soccer, and the grief that they cop largely from parents and people on the sideline. But it's not an issue that's, you know, umpires are just not an issue just for the AFL. I think every sport's suffering with it. I take it back to when you know, in my heyday, when I was playing sport back home, it was actually a condition of playing rep that you had to umpire as well. So in order to qualify for a rep team, you had to do your umpiring course, and then you had to umpire, which was really scary in a small country town, umpiring your school teachers. And my sister at one point, that was kind of a bit scary. I wanted to set off, but I didn't think that was sensible.
No.
But what it did teach you was that level of respect that you have for the game. And, you know, as a result, I can honestly say at my ripe old age of dinosaur age that I have never really been in trouble playing a game of netball. I'll get cranky arm and as competitive as anyone, but I think if you're, you know, you're a bit older and you're screaming at a young kid who's just having a go and officiating a game, you're a next level kind of person. So it was actually really, sad. He referenced a lot of young people who have taken an interest in the game in umpiring and chosen not to continue and pursue it. They get abused. And I, you know, at some point we run out of people to officiate games, and you know, we need them actually to play. So it was a bit of an ugly story to read this week. They are seriously underpaid as well. Like you know, I know here the local girls get paid about $12 an hour to umpire a game of netball, and you know, the grief that they do cop, you know, is quite extraordinary. And hence the reason I just don't do it. I'm not interested at all. I'll give back to the sport in other ways. But what are your thoughts?
I've sat on the couch here every weekend for like the last like 20 odd years now, and I can find fault with everything a referee does, right? And I will give it to him through the TV, but I've never actually been one to give it to an official on at a game. When I was playing back in the day, I'd have a few choice words to say to the official, but that was when I was on the field, and that's sort of okay. But as a parent, you can't do that. You can't be that with other children there. I've seen it myself. I didn't stand in the weekend because the girls are only like 8 years old, so that's fine. But it definitely goes on. There was a lot going on. I went and watched the second game of netball with some kids that were 14, and it was going on there too. And it's ugly. It's hard to watch, and it makes you feel sick. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, it's just a game. Like, yeah. And the guy and his wife that were upset at the netball game on the weekend, their team was getting pumped. And they were bad. It wasn't the referee's fault, mate. It was your kid. Your kid was terrible. Your kid was terrible, buddy. Like, just you let it go. But I didn't realize it was that bad. And that's just AFL. I'm sure it's bad across all sports too.
Yeah. And look, that's right. There's certainly no halo here. And, you know, I sit and I'm the best at dishing it out while I'm watching the TV as well. And, you know, as I said, competitive on court, and I'll only get cranky at myself, but I couldn't bring it upon myself to have a go at some kid who's just having a go. And I just think that's completely low level. And there were some examples in what McLaughlin came out with of examples that within AFL, how, you know, he's witnessed it, and it's pretty brutal. And as you said, there's nothing you can do with the other teams, just better and dominating. But for some reason, people on the sideline think that that's free license to have a complete dig at them. So so I think it's probably a massive problem, and the uglier side of sport that we see at the grassroots level. And you know, they've certainly got lots of initiatives about, you know, play by the rules. And I have noticed actually local soccer have a lot of signs up that say, you know, that a lot of their referees are volunteers or are mums or dads or whatever.
I noticed that at the netball the other day. Yeah.
So not that as someone who runs events, no one reads signs, but anyway, it's nice that they're up.
Oh, beautiful. Look, let's turn our attention to what's on this week and coming up. There is a plethora of sport, depending on what you're interested in. Yes, I just used that word in a sentence and correctly. Yeah. Look, now let's talk AFL first. Buddy Franklin looks set to kick his 1,000 goals on the weekend. The Swans are playing the Cats on Friday night. Now, if you are a gambling man like me, the Swans never win on a Friday night. I shit you not. There is a Friday night curse. Do not take the Swans on Friday night. They're $1.71 favourite to beat Geelong at 2.14. The Swans are at home at the STG, first game of the season. They will not win this game. Mark my words. Franklin might kick 5 goals they need, but the Swans never win on a Friday night at home. It is
what is that thing? What's the hoodoo?
It's been going on for years. I don't know. I used to always take them in my multi-bet in my other punters club back in the day, and they used to laugh at me because every week the Swans would get beaten on a Friday night at home. It just happens. So
they go to Thursday? Like, do they hit up Moose for uni night?
They must go out Thursday, and then they go into the game. So
there you go. Interesting stat. I'll hope they
stay off the Swans. You heard it here first. Super Rugby is back again. The three of the Aussie teams are in the top 4 at the moment of the rugby. What's it called these days?
Pacific, yeah.
That one, Pacific. Yeah, thank you. But we haven't had any games against New Zealand teams yet, so I'm sure the comp will even itself out once the New Zealand teams start to have games against the Aussies. But the Brumbies are flying high at the moment, undefeated, and are on top of the table. And my Waratahs are sitting in 4th, so big shout out to the Waratahs. Thank you. The Rugby League rolls on as well. The Sharks have the Dragons on Thursday night, at 8 o'clock, and 8 o'clock on Friday night is the clash of the round. We've been talking about this for ages. Latrell comes back to play at Accor Stadium against the Roosters. How pumped are you?
Yeah, a little, but I'm very nervous because we're really bad against the Rabbits and they typically get it over us. So, I don't know. I'd like to say I'm confident, but I'm never confident. Even when we win grand finals, it takes me 10 or 12 minutes post-game to realise we've won. So,
did we actually win?
Yeah, I don't know. I a little part of me thinks that we might lose that one. I'm going to go I think it will be low, like 12-10 or.
It'll probably be a tight contest. Yeah, as long as there's no controversy from the referees, that'll be fine.
As long as Latrell behaves, we'll be sweet.
Now, this is something I wouldn't have said forever. We have a top of the table clash between the Knights and the Panthers. I know, right? And you guys are on top. So that's at 3 o'clock on Saturday. So be sure to tune in into that one too. And also be sure to watch the Raiders get beaten by the Titans at 7:30 on Saturday night, just because the Raiders are shit. So for them. The Formula One is on again this weekend, so be sure to watch that one. That'll be on a Monday morning again. So Ness, hopefully you're up nice and early to watch that one.
I think it's at 4 a.m. this time, so that's a little bit more palatable than 2 a.m. Just get up early, have a little bit of a lunchtime nap, or 17 coffees, whatever you need to do.
Okay. The second last thing we have is the Socceroos. They're playing on Thursday night now. They've got Japan. I think the game's here in Sydney. This is our second last game to qualify for the World Cup. It's not going to happen, folks. So we have to beat Japan, and then we have to beat Saudi Arabia away in a couple of weeks' time. We have to win both those games and hope results go our way to finish in the top 2. But we are definitely guaranteed to finish in the top 3, which means we will then go on to the next stage of qualification and have to beat a South American team, which looks like being Chile, I think, at the moment. So the result on Thursday night doesn't really matter that much. But I saw an interesting stat today. We've only been beaten in home World Cup games twice ever. Once to New Zealand in the 80s, and once a dead rubber to China a couple of years back when we were going for South Africa. So it's 2008-ish. So they've only been beaten twice. So, but the stats are we always draw against the Japanese. For some reason, we can't seem to get the number over them. So get on the draw, put that into the Swans to lose India multi, and then you go and see. I know it's
I
good.
reckon the Socceroos are going down 3-1.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Yeah,
That's my.
They've got heaps of injuries at the moment. They're bringing in Bruno Tunaroli, who's like 50. So, yeah.
I looked at the list, and and this is probably a sign too. There was once upon a time where I knew the Socceroos and knew their positions, and
all of them.
I have no idea who they are anymore. So
yeah, there's been a lot of talk about Socceroos and the A League at the moment, but we might save that one for next week because I've got a bit of an insight into that. But so join us next week when we talk A League. Just before we go, talk about the Super Netball. Ness, what games have we got to look forward to this weekend?
Yeah, some really good games. My two picks of the round, definitely Swifts Giants. So the Sydney clash. I actually think the Swifts will come out on top. I think Giants have not recruited well. They've got a big hole left by Kira Austin, who's of course joined the best team in the comp. So I actually think the Swifts will be very hard to beat here. They've largely kept their same roster. They have taken one of my Vixens and she will strengthen them in that mid-court. So Swifts will be dangerous and they'll win that one. And Firebirds Vixens, and I said before, the Firebirds are a bit of an unknown. I think they're going to be the dark horse. And I think that will actually be a much closer contest than we think. So tipping Vixens to still win, but it'll be close. Sunday, 1:00, tune in to the Vixens, hopefully winning the first game of the season.
Add the Firebirds to your multi too with those other two. Just get in for it. Beautiful. I know. Hopefully Bo is back from his male modelling he's been doing all week. Hopefully he's back next week. I'm sure he'll get in touch with us soon when he surfaces. So thanks again for joining us. We'll see you guys next week. Very good. See you guys.